Is a home lab a waste of time, or could it be the best free investment that you make this year? In this video we are going to explore the pros and cons of building a completely free home lab and help you decide if it's really worth your time. Plus, we will discuss if you really need to create every single VM that I have set up. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Before we begin, let me just tell you very quickly what I have in my home lab. So I have pfSense that works as a router and as a firewall. I have Kali Linux, that in this case is our management. I have 𝐴𝒓𝒕𝒊𝒔𝒕 and Kronos that are intentionally vulnerable VMs used for practicing exploitation techniques and capture the flag challenges. I have a vulnerable domain controller used to practice domain controller exploitation, mimicking an Active Directory environment. I have two machines that act as clients to attack the domain controller VM. I have the Flare VM, a Windows-based environment for malware analysis. I have the 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐼 VM, that is a Linux-based VM that is used for malware analysis as well. I have 𝐼𝒐𝒏𝒈, specialized for digital forensics and incident response, ideal for investigating cyber incidents. And I have Splunk, that is used for analyzing log data from my domain controller VM. And this VM will help you learn how to monitor and interpret security logs. Now that you know what I have in my home lab, let's explore the pros of building a home lab just like this. The first pro is knowledge and hands-on practice. Before setting up your home lab, you will likely read a lot of materials and watch a lot of videos to prepare. This research helps you avoid potential issues and get the best results without affecting your main system. Along the way, you will learn about command line, you will learn about virtualization by installing and configuring virtual machines. You will learn pfSense rules, so you will learn how to apply rules to manage your network traffic. You will develop problem-solving skills as you encounter and resolve issues, and so on. As you learn, you can immediately apply this knowledge, which is the essence of hands-on experience. Having knowledge is great, but applying it is what truly solidifies your skills. You might run into problems, as I told you before, while you are setting up these VMs, and sometimes there isn't much documentation to help. But the challenge is also a great learning opportunity. Another pro is having a safe environment for experimentation. Using a virtual machine for your experimentations is much safer than using your main system. For example, if you download a file that contains virus or malware, if you download it on your VM, it's safer because you can easily delete the VM and start from scratch. If this happens on your main system, this can cause you some serious issues, not just for you, but for those that are in the same network as you. So, having a VM where you can learn safely is a huge advantage. Another benefit, at least in my case, is enhanced security through pfSense. By setting up pfSense as the gatekeeper of what enters and what exits your network, you can protect both your main system and the virtual machines on your home lab. For instance, I have a rule on pfSense where I prevent communication between my Flare VM and my 𝐼𝒿𝒻𝒂 VM with the rest of my lab. This is crucial because these two VMs are used for malware analysis. By isolating these two VMs from my main system and from the rest of my other VMs, I ensure that if anything goes wrong during my analysis, it won't affect my main system or my other VMs. Another benefit is that it can be completely free. So in my lab I have some OSs that are completely free, but I also have OSs that give me free trials. Now you might be thinking, doesn't a free trial means that I need to pay after a certain number of days? Well, that's where VirtualBox snapshots come in handy. With VirtualBox, you can create a snapshot of your VM, and this feature not only allows you to revert back if you make a mistake, but it also lets you go back to the trial period whenever you need to. So, by taking a snapshot at the start of the trial, you can effectively continue to use the software. And there are plenty more pros to building a home lab, but these were just a few to get you started. If you have any more pros that you think that are worth to mention but I didn't, let me know in the commentary section down below. Now, if I said that it's all pros and no cons, I'd be lying. Building a home lab, even a free one, comes with its challenges. Let's take a look at some of the cons you should be aware of before getting started. So, the first con is time consuming. Building a home lab isn't all rainbows and colors. It takes a significant amount of time because there's so much to learn. To get to a point where you are comfortable and confident, you will need to invest a lot of time in research and setup. The learning curve can be steep and the process might feel overwhelming at times. Another con is software and hardware limitations. If you are building a home lab that requires a lot of storage, processing power, or memory, and your computer doesn't have the capacity, you might run into issues. This can cause your system to slow down or even crash. So, before you get started, it's important to check the specifications of your computer. Another con is that you will probably run into various issues along the way. When you are setting up a home lab, especially for the first time, you are likely to encounter unexpected issues. These issues could range from software conflicts and installation errors to network misconfigurations and hardware compatibility. These problems can be frustrating and time-consuming, especially if you are not sure where to start. For example, when I was installing 𝐼𝒔𝒕 using the ISO file, I ran into a lot of issues, and I tried to solve these issues by increasing the cores, the disk space, but I still wasn't able to install it using the ISO file. Now, after a lot of trial and error, I eventually decided to not use the ISO file, to use the OVA file instead, and this solved the problem. But as you can see, I spent a lot of time trying to solve this issue, and it was only just after some time that I thought to myself, wait, I can use the OVA file and solve the problem like that. So, as you can see, building a home lab comes with its fair share of challenges, and whether it's troubleshooting unexpected issues or dealing with hardware and software limitations, it's important to know what you are getting into. Now, if you have a con that I haven't mentioned in this video but you think that it's worth to mention, then leave it in the commentary section down below. Okay, now that we have talked about the pros and cons of building a home lab, let's discuss if you need or not all the VMs that I presented to you. So you should choose your VMs having in mind your interests and goals. For example, if you are interested in Red Team, then you can choose the following VMs. This is just an example. pfSense, and this is because you should always have your VMs safe and your main system safe. Another two VMs that you can have, for instance, is Metasploitable 2 and Kronos, because these VMs are used for exploitation. You can have the domain controller and clients that are used as well for exploitation. Now, if you are interested in Blue Team, you can create the following VMs, and once again, this is just an example. So, two VMs that you can have are the Remnux VM and the Flare VM. And this is because these VMs are used for malware analysis and to understand how to protect against different types of malicious software. You can also install the domain controller, the two clients, and Splunk. So you can use Splunk to analyze and monitor logs from your domain controller, and even turn your DC, your domain controller, safer, because in my case I have the domain controller vulnerable. And these are examples that can help you decide whether you create all VMs or just some. In the end, it will depend on your wants. Now guys, I would love to hear what you think about what I just said. Have you built a home lab before? What kind of virtual machines do you find the most useful? Also, if you ran into issues while building your home lab, and you have tips and tricks, please leave those in the commentary section down below so we can learn with each other. Now, before you go, if you want to create your home lab, then watch this video here, or if you want to become a hacker, watch this one instead. And that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel for more content like this. See you next time, stay curious, stay safe, and happy lab building! Bye bye!